Let's move on to the next case, because this one I have been kind of really intrigued, I think both of us, when we heard about it. This is this case with the man in the Bahamas. He and his wife were out sailing in the Bahamas. She ends up going overboard. The husband was in custody, but now everything's kind of dropped, right?
So the Bahamas doesn't have a good reputation for prosecuting murder cases, and I'm thinking of the Natalie Holloway case, where the evidence seemed pretty clear that the defendant in that case committed the murder. He admitted to it, and he was never brought to justice in the Bahamas. Now, the defendant in the new case, his last name is Hooker. So Mr. Hooker, Brian Hooker, he was detained for 5 days and questioned for over 3 hours. And the prosecutors determined that they did not have enough evidence to charge him. Now here are the questions, like, where's the body? Was there foul play? Are there forensics? Like, we don't know the answers to any of those questions yet.
Wasn't there something weird about she allegedly fell off the boat the night before, and he didn't call into police or the Coast Guard or law enforcement, we'll just say, until the next morning?
Yeah, so what he says is that she fell off the boat and she had the key to the engine with her.
So he couldn't start the car to get back to land?
Yeah, the little dinghy. And if you look at it, it was about 8 feet long. It was not seaworthy. And it seems pretty obvious that alcohol was involved to a certain extent, because nobody in their right mind would go out into the blue ocean with this small little dinghy with an electric motor, unless maybe you're drunk or it's insidious.
Yeah.
Or they're just that comfortable with it. Maybe.
True.
I mean, but no cell phones? I mean, I don't know what the cell phone coverage is out there. It's possible they're out in the sea and it doesn't work. A comment that I've heard from a lot of people is, why didn't he attempt to go after her? I mean, he did not make remarks that I have read either that said, well, I jumped in to get her and then I jumped back to the dinghy. If she did fall in, were there attempts to rescue her? I mean, that might indicate whether he was guilty or not guilty. But there were also her daughter, because this is their second marriage or third possibly, but her daughter came out and said there were allegations of abuse in the past.
I think that raised a lot of red flags for a lot of people, too.
It does, but let's say he was the one that went missing. You could say the same thing about her, because there was a 2015 incident where he called 911 for domestic violence and he had a bloody nose. And, with the stepdaughter, just playing devil's advocate here, it's not unheard of for stepdaughters or stepsons not to have good relationships with their stepfathers. And, he did leave the Bahamas because he said his mom was having some type of kidney failure emergency and needed to come back. But he was also, being accused of murder in a foreign country. And, if you put yourself in his shoes, and let's say that you're innocent and you have this, third world country accusing you of murder, like, you're probably not going to stay there.
No.
And I'll tell you, the Coast Guard and the rescue people always tell the families not to go out in the water and help look, because they have the technology, and the families will just get in the way or possibly have to be rescued themselves. So from a law enforcement standpoint, I don't think it's a red flag that after he called 911 that they probably told him, we'll take care of the search.
Can I ask about jurisdiction? So if he goes back to America, but he potentially is wanted for a crime in the Bahamas, can the Bahamas extradite him back if they do, in fact, find enough evidence to charge him? So
there's two things you have to think about here. So he can actually be charged in the United States if they find that he planned the murder in the United States. So that's how they are able to capture people who go to other countries to commit child molesting, like in Cambodia or Thailand and stuff like that. So if there's any evidence that he was searching for, how to get away with murder or drowning or something like that here in the United States, he could be charged here. Now, with extradition,
can I ask another follow-up question?
Sure.
Who would be investigating him here in the United States?
Oh, it would be the FBI.
FBI, okay.
Yeah, because it's an international
federal case.
Yeah, it'd be a federal case. And so, I used to be the head prosecutor for the Republic of Palau, a small, tiny island nation, and we often had to deal with these extradition issues. So the first thing you have to have is an extradition treaty with the country, which we do with the Bahamas. Then you have to send a warrant through Interpol to the State Department, who then forwards it to the Department of Justice, and they have to determine that the person that you're seeking is the same person that's on the warrant, so they have an identity hearing, and the charge has to be something that people could be charged for here in the United States. So let's say, like, in Singapore, if you throw a piece of gum on the ground, you get 5 years in prison. Like, they're probably not going to extradite you for that because there's not a similarly situated crime here. But because we do have reciprocity, that means what is it called? An extradition treaty. He would be extradited to the Bahamas.
I imagine that investigation isn't over, and if the FBI isn't picking it up, perhaps it's a tough one to solve, though. We have no cameras, no witnesses,
no
bodies, and like you said, if they found alcohol involved, then maybe his story does jive. We have to take a quick break. We wanted to thank you for coming on.
Sure.
And hopefully we'll have you on soon.
Yeah.
I wish I would have gone to law school.
I know, right?
My dream was to go to law school.
You guys ask great questions.
Instead. I still do like it.
I did buy the LSAT book one time, and then I read that, and I was like, you know what? I think it'll be easier to be a news anchor.
Easier to be a news anchor.
Well, Josh, thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Much more Fox 10 Talks at 11 next.